Hello everyone and welcome to yet another video from VNA classes. And in this video we will be discussing about a very important topic in biology, that is photosynthesis. Okay. Now this topic starts from class 6th and goes up till class 10th. Okay. So we'll try and cover as much as possible about photosynthesis in this video. Okay. So before we jump onto the term photosynthesis, we need to know something about nutrition. So what is nutrition? It is not a single entity. It consists of all the processes which a living organism carries out for intake and utilization of food. Okay. So nutrition is concerned with intake as well as utilization of the food. And principally nutrition are of two types, autotrophic and heterotrophic. So what is the meaning of autotrophic? If we split this word into two, it means auto means self and trophos means nourishment. So all those organisms which make their food for themselves are called as autotrophs, and the mode of nutrition which is used by them is called as autotrophic nutrition. Whereas those organisms which are dependent upon the autotrophs directly or indirectly for their food are termed as heterotrophs. Okay, now we'll see some examples of these. Example of autotrophs are principally plants and bacteria. Not all bacteria, some bacteria. Okay, and the examples of heterotrophs are principally animals, humans, and fungus. Okay, so we have seen the term nutrition, we have seen two types of nutrition, and also we have seen the examples. So after knowing all this, now we can come to our main topic, that is photosynthesis. Again, what is the meaning of photosynthesis? It is a big term. Anywhere you see a big terminology in biology, so split the term into two and find the meaning of the root words. Okay, this will make the understanding more easy. So if we split this, it consists of photos, which means light, and synthesis, which means to prepare. So photosynthesis means preparing the food by means of light. Okay, anywhere you see these terms, these are mostly Greek terms. Anywhere you see these terms, the meaning will be same. For example, you'll in physics you'll see photons. They are also related to light. Okay, so the meaning of these Greek terms, these root terms will always be same wherever they are used. Okay, now we have seen the definition of photosynthesis. So we will see what all raw materials that the plant will need in order to carry out photosynthesis. If we want to prepare a dish, we need some ingredients. Similarly, the plants will also need some ingredients. Okay, so what are these ingredients? We need to understand these four important ingredients. Okay, the first one is carbon dioxide, which the plant will get from air. The second one is water, which it will get from soil. Okay, and two other raw materials are sunlight and chlorophyll. Sunlight we all know, and chlorophyll is a green colored pigment which is present in plants. Okay, we'll look into details of all this, don't worry. Okay, so let's see this diagram. Here it is very clearly depicted all the raw materials which are needed. First one is carbon dioxide, second one is water and minerals, third one is light energy, and fourth one is chlorophyll. So these are the principal four raw materials which a plant will require in order to carry out photosynthesis. Okay, now let's look at these raw materials one by one. So first we will start with carbon dioxide. Okay, so we all know carbon dioxide is present in air. Okay, so how will plants take that carbon dioxide into them? Like in humans, we have a breathing apparatus, we have nose by which we take in gases. Similarly, in plants, there are some specialized structures which are called as stomata. You can see here, this is a cut section of leaf. Okay, this is a cut section of leaf. Suppose this is the leaf, you cut like this and you're looking this way. Okay, then you will see something like this. Okay, this is a cut section. This is the upper surface and this is the lower surface or the under surface. So on the under surface, we see these minute holes, minute openings present in the surface of the leaf, which helps in the intake of carbon dioxide. Okay, now if we zoom this stomata a bit more, we will see structure something like this. Okay, so what can we see here? This is the small opening, okay, which is called as the stomatal opening or the stomatal pore, and this small opening is surrounded by two special kind of cells which are termed as the guard cells. Okay, now we'll see how these guard cells will help in regulating the shape of stomata. Okay, so for this, let's come to this diagram. First, see this diagram. Okay, in this you can see these are the guard cells and this opening is closed. Why this is closed? Because when there is no water, the guard cells will shrink. Okay, they will shrink and they'll close the pore and there will be no exchange of gases. Whereas in this diagram you can see when there is presence of water, the water is taken up by the guard cells and they swell up. Okay, when they swell up, there is this opening created in between which is called as the stomatal pore. Okay, by means of this stomatal pore, there will be intake of carbon dioxide. And also one other important function of this stomatal pore is this removal of water vapor. Okay, we'll see what is the use of this later. So please remember these two important functions. One is intake of gases, which can be carbon dioxide or oxygen, and removal of water vapor. Okay, so we have seen the first raw material and how it is acquired. So our carbon dioxide is completed. Now we'll see water. So this water is present in soil. Okay, from there it has to reach till the leaves and it is not a small distance, right? So this process cannot happen simply by diffusion. Diffusion can only take place up to small distances. So there need to be something specialized present in the plants which can carry water from the root up till the leaves. Okay, for understanding that we'll see this diagram. Okay, before that one important thing, as we just discussed stomata, wherever you see the term stoma, again this is a root word, it will always mean a opening, okay, or a mouth or a space. Okay, so if we learn some of these root words, it becomes very important and very easy to understand the terminologies. Okay, so let's now concentrate on how water will travel from root to the leaves. For this we will look at this diagram. Okay, so let's see, this is the cut section of a leaf. Here we can see something which is labeled as vascular bundle. Okay, so what this vascular bundle consists of, the upper part is what? Phloem. Phloem is concerned with nutrients transfer. Okay, after photosynthesis, when plants will prepare their sugar, they need to transfer that material to all the parts of the plant. So that will happen with the help of phloem. And on the lower half, you can see there is xylem. This xylem is concerned with the transport of water. Okay, this is the conducting channel for water. So now let's see how all this happens, how all this takes place at the level of roots. Okay, so suppose these are the root cells. Okay, these are the root cells. Suppose this is the xylem bundle. Okay, and suppose here we have the leaf. So from here we have to take the water till here. Okay, so this is your soil, and this soil contains many ions and water. Okay, and what are these? These are root hair cells. Okay, so what these root hair cells will do, they will actively take up ions. Okay, they'll actively take up ions which is present in the soil. As a result of which there will be more ionic charges inside the cell, and we have already studied this thing that whenever there is movement of charge or movement of ions, this is accompanied by what? Movement of water. Okay, so water will also be sucked inside these root hair cells. Now within these root hair cells, okay, these are the root hair cells. Within these root hair cells, after the water comes within these root hair cells, the transport will be with the means of diffusion, simple diffusion, because it is a small distance, and it will reach the xylem column. Okay, this is xylem. So what will happen, there will be a water column, a water column which will be created in the xylem bundle at the root end. Okay, and this whole process that I have just explained is a continuous process. This water column will keep on expanding and it will get pushed up. Okay, this is one mechanism. What is the other mechanism of water transport? For that, we'll have to recall what we just studied in stomata. Okay, we studied that stomata also helps in removal of water vapor. So continuously from the surface of leaf, water vapor is removed. Okay, water vapor will get removed. Okay, this process by which the plant removes the water vapor is called as transpiration. Okay, just like in humans we have perspiration, which means sweating. Similarly the plants have transpiration. So what will happen because of this transpiration is that all the water in the leaves will move out. So there will be no water left in the leaf. So what will happen, a vacuum will get created in the upper part of the xylem bundle. Okay, so this will be a vacuum which is created in the upper part of the xylem bundle. What this will vacuum do, this will further pull up the water column which was created at the root end. Okay, just like when you are drinking your cold drink or any other drink by means of straw, what you do, you apply suction on the upper end, it creates a vacuum and it pulls the drink inside your mouth. Similarly, this vacuum which is created because of transpiration will pull the water column up. Okay, so these are the two main mechanisms. One is the active transport of ions followed by water, and second is transpiration which helps in the movement of water. Okay, so we have seen the two main raw materials. One is carbon dioxide and the other is water. Now we will see what? We will see sunlight and chlorophyll. We will take both these things together. Okay. So first let's see what is chlorophyll. Okay, again this is a big term. We will split it into two and try to understand the meaning. Okay, so we split the word. It also consists of two Greek words which are chloros and phylon. Chloros means pale green and phylon means a leaf. Okay, wherever you see this term chloros, it will mean green, like chlorophyll, chloroplast, and wherever you see phylon, it will always be in relation to a leaf or a plant. Okay, so what is chlorophyll? It is a green colored pigment which is present in the plants. This pigment is the thing which is responsible for the absorption of sunlight. Okay, because Animals can also acquire carbon dioxide. Okay, they can acquire carbon dioxide, they can acquire water, they can acquire sunlight. But what is that single thing which differentiates plants from an animal? Is chlorophyll. It is because of this absence of chlorophyll that the animals cannot make their own food. Okay, so now we'll see where are these chlorophyll present. Okay, let's see where are these chlorophyll present. Chlorophyll are present in these specialized organelles which are called as chloroplast. Okay, what are these chloroplasts? These are specialized plastids. Plastid, as we all know, is an organelle present in plants. It is just like what? Just like the mitochondria which we have in animal cell. In plant cell we have chloroplast. Mitochondria is the storehouse of ATP in animals. Similarly, chloroplast is the place where all the energy is generated. That is why this is also called as the kitchen of plant cell. Okay, chloroplast is also called as the kitchen of plant cell. So this is a magnified version of that chloroplast. You can see similar to this mitochondria, it will have an outer membrane, inner membrane, and then it will have these stacks which will contain these chlorophyll. Okay, in this diagram also which we saw, we can see these chloroplasts. Okay, so what is this? This hole is the cut section of leaf. This is the lower part. This opening is the stomata. These are the guard cells, and here we can see are these chloroplast. Okay, these green organelles are the chloroplast. Okay, so these chloroplast contain the chlorophyll, which helps in absorption of the sunlight. Okay. So we have seen all the four raw materials and how they are obtained. Now let's look at some of the activities which is given in your book, which also emphasizes on these raw materials. Okay, so first we will see the importance of chlorophyll. For that, what we have to do, this is your activity 1. Okay, we take a leaf, and what we'll do, we'll keep this leaf in dark for some time so that all the stored starch gets used up. Okay, after that we will take that leaf and keep it under sunlight for 3 to 4 hours so that photosynthesis occurs in this leaf. Okay, then what we'll do, we'll take this leaf and we'll boil this in alcohol. Why alcohol? Because alcohol is a decolorizing agent. Okay, it is a decolorizing agent, so it will remove all the pigment material. Okay, so what we see, this leaf will become something like this. Okay, just white patches, colorless patches on the leaf instead of green patches. Okay, now if we apply iodine onto this leaf will become something like this. Why? Because iodine combines with starch to give a blue black color, right? So what does this activity signify? It signifies that only those parts of the leaves which were earlier green in color are stained blue. It means what? That only these plants were carrying out photosynthesis. Only these parts had starch reserve after the photosynthesis, which is stained blue black. Okay, so this activity will tell about the importance of chlorophyll in photosynthesis. Okay, so this is your first activity. Now we come on to the second activity. What is the second activity? This second activity is regarding the importance of carbon dioxide. Okay, what you have to do is you will take two plants and put them in airtight container. Okay, and you will put both the plants under sunlight. Both the plants will be under sunlight. Now only difference in both the jars will be that in one jar we will put KOH, that is potassium hydroxide. Why KOH? Because KOH absorbs all the carbon dioxide. So what will happen sometime after some time? This jar, it will contain carbon dioxide, but this jar will not contain carbon dioxide. So this plant has all the four materials: sunlight, chlorophyll, carbon dioxide and water. So it will carry out photosynthesis, but this plant number 1, will not have carbon dioxide, so it will not be able to carry out photosynthesis. So after some time, when we take one leaf from both the plants and subject these leaves to the same process, we will see that leaves of this plant 1 will not get stained, whereas leaves from plant 2 will get stained with blue black color. Okay, so this tells about the importance of carbon dioxide for the process of photosynthesis. Okay, a slight modification in this same activity will tell you about the importance of sunlight. So what we'll do is, we will take identical jars, we will not keep this KOH. Only difference will be, only one plant will be kept in sunlight, okay, and this other plant will be kept in dark. So let's say this is plant 1, this is plant 2. Again, plant 1 is missing with one raw material, that is sunlight. So after some time, when we take one leaf from both the plants, boil those leaves and stain that with iodine, leaves of plant 1 will not get stained, whereas leaves of plant 2 will get stained. Okay, so these are the three activities by which we can tell the importance of raw materials which are required for photosynthesis. Okay, now let's look at what are the actual steps which are involved in this process of photosynthesis. Okay, so these are the main three steps which you need to remember. The first one is absorption of sunlight, which is done by means of chlorophyll. Okay. Second step is splitting up of water. The water will split up into hydrogen and oxygen by means of this sunlight. Okay. And the third is reduction of carbon dioxide to form carbohydrates. So what will happen? The CO2 which the plants have taken up, it will get reduced by this hydrogen atom and will get converted to carbohydrates. Okay, these are the basic three steps that you need to remember. Now let's see in the form of a chemical reaction, chemical equation, how all this is happening. Okay. Okay, so before we go on to the actual reaction of this photosynthesis, you need to understand something about the term carbohydrate. What is carbohydrate? They are compounds containing carbon, oxygen and hydrogen. Okay, and all the carbohydrates can be written with the general formula of CnH2O, where n can be any number, and depending on the number or the value of n, the carbohydrates will have different names. With respect to photosynthesis, we are concerned with a n value of 6. So this will become C6H2O whole 6. If we reorganize this, we can write it as C6H12O6, which is nothing but the glucose. So this is the end product of photosynthesis. Now let's see in the form of a reaction how this is happening. Okay, so writing the reaction is now very simple. We know all the four raw materials. Let's write those raw materials one by one. Okay, carbon dioxide, water in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. will form what? Sugar and oxygen. Now what is the sugar? Sugar is glucose, C6H12O6. Oxygen is O2. So we can write this equation further as CO2 plus H2O in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll will form sugars and oxygen. Okay, C6H12O6. Now why I am writing this in specific color? Sorry. Now this color coding of this reaction itself tells a lot of things, okay, and it will help you solve a lot of questions that are being asked from this equation. So what do we understand from this? The carbon in the carbohydrate is coming from carbon dioxide. This water was split in the second step into hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, this was split into hydrogen and oxygen. So this hydrogen is what is utilized in the carbohydrate. And where does this oxygen come from? This oxygen is also coming from carbon dioxide. So we have seen the source of all the three elements. The carbon is coming from carbon dioxide, the oxygen is also coming from carbon dioxide, and the hydrogen is coming from water. Now the most important question that everybody will ask is, where does this oxygen come from? So this oxygen comes from the splitting up of water. So source of oxygen is water and not carbon dioxide. Okay, so this is the main reaction of photosynthesis that you all need to remember. Now as you can see, this reaction is not balanced. So to balance this reaction, we will write 6CO2 plus 6H2O giving glucose and 6 oxygen. Okay. Now this glucose can be either used immediately, okay, or it can be stored. When it is stored in the form of starch. This starch was responsible for the blue-black color in all the previous activities. Okay, so this is the main reaction that you all should remember. Okay, this is very important part in this photosynthesis. And second important thing is this diagram of stomata. Diagram and function of stomata. This is very important. You all must remember this. Okay. Now all the main topics that were there in this photosynthesis are covered here. Let's see some of the smaller topics here. Okay, to understand those smaller topics, let's look at these leaves. Okay, you must have seen such leaves somewhere, either in your home or somewhere outside. These leaves are not exactly green. Okay, some are orange in color, some are yellow in color. So a very important question arises that, do these leaves contain chlorophyll? The answer is yes, they contain chlorophyll. Second question arises, do these leaves are also autotrophic? Again the answer is yes. So why is it so that the leaves are not green in color? Everywhere in the discussion we were talking about green, chlorophyll, chloroplast. So why are these leaves not green in color? It is because of some other pigments which are present in these leaves. Okay, what are these pigments? One is carotenoid. Carotenoid is what? It is an orange color pigment. Okay, the other are a group of pigment called xanthanoids. They are what? Yellow colored pigment. Okay, and phycobilins are a group of pigments which are blue or green in color. Okay, so in this leaf the amount of chlorophyll is less and the amount of carotenoids and xanthanoids are more. Because of this, their leaves are not exactly green in color but have colors ranging from yellow to orange to some other color. Okay, so this is one small part which we need to understand. Next thing that we need to understand is that by means of photosynthesis, the plants they made their sugars, right? But is it that the plants only require sugar and nothing else? No, it's not like that. So by photosynthesis, the plants made sugar, but there are other nutrients and minerals which the plant require for their functioning. So where do they get that from? They get that from soil. Okay, soil is the single biggest reservoir for all the nutrients and minerals. Okay, so what are these? These are inorganic nitrogen compounds. Examples are nitrates and nitrites. Okay, and there are organic nitrogen compounds. What are the source of these? They are formed by bacteria. They convert the atmospheric nitrogen into these compounds. Okay, so these are the other nutrients, important other nutrients which the plant requires for their functioning. Okay, so with this we complete all the small topics of the bigger topic photosynthesis, and this is all that you need to know about the topic photosynthesis. Okay, let's have a quick revision. What we studied in the start, we studied the definition of nutrition. We saw two types of nutrition. Then we studied the definition of photosynthesis. We saw four raw materials for photosynthesis. Then we saw how are these raw materials obtained. Okay, then we saw three activities rather, which will show the importance of raw material. Then we looked at the steps of photosynthesis. Then we looked at the final reaction of photosynthesis. And finally, in the end, we discussed that there are some other pigments as well which are present in the plants. Okay, now let's come to our final question of this video. What is that question? This is the question. The question is, do only leaves carry out photosynthesis? What is the answer? The answer is no. It's not just the leaves. Okay, any part of the plant that contains chlorophyll or is green in color can carry out photosynthesis. For example, the young stems. You must have seen the younger stems are green in color. You must have seen buds. Just before the flower blossoms, there is a bud that is also green in color. So these parts can also carry out photosynthesis. So any part of the plant which has chlorophyll in it and which is green in color can carry out photosynthesis. Okay, so with this last question, we finish our topic of photosynthesis. Something very important is still left. What is that? This. Okay, we have two options, either to be patient and stay indoors during this lockdown, or the second option is go outside and become a patient. Okay, so stay safe, stay inside your house during this lockdown and make use of these videos to catch up with your studies. Okay,
If you find this video informative, please do like, share and subscribe to our channel VNA Classes. In the comment section, you can ask any doubt regarding this topic and also suggest some other topics that you want to see in further videos.